Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Lakers, Suns tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern at Footprint in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's the fifth installment of our preseason schedule. Actually, it's our fourth. Is it our fourth? Yeah, it's the Phoenix Suns' fifth. They are 3-1 right now, looking to try to up themselves to 4-1 to end their preseason. And we are 1-3. With one more tomorrow that we will have a back-to-back in Golden State. So this is not going to be the easiest couple of days for our LA Laker team. Our regular season starts on Tuesday, and we didn't have our greatest game against the Golden State Warriors in the last one. And as you can see, we're seeing the same teams over and over again. We've seen this Phoenix Suns team already in the preseason as well. The second game of the preseason, where we had a fantastic first half and then put our bench in and did not work out for us. Of course, we've talked about the theme of having power forwards really have great games against us. That did not cease in Golden State. Kuminga had a big game. Trace Jackson Davis played well. Draymond also had a pretty solid game as well. So we're not having a whole lot of success there, and I'm not hearing a whole lot of people talking about it, but it is very consistent, and it's very glaring, and it's very annoying. So I want us to do a much better job against their power forwards tonight in Phoenix. Iguodala specifically had a really good game against us, continued that onslaught. And there's a guy by the name of Ryan Dunn who hit like 6 threes in the last game. Now, it's been said that he can't contribute to the offensive end at all, which was a complete lie because he's been shooting threes since he started playing this preseason. And in the last game, the Phoenix Suns rested all of their starters and most of their main guys and let guys like Ryan Dunn, Iguodala, Monte Morris, and Bol just kind of run out there against the Denver Nuggets. And I don't remember the outcome. It's escaped me who won that game, but I do know Phoenix played very well. I'd imagine it was Phoenix. Yeah, I think they won the game. So, it's one of those situations where you look at this Phoenix Suns team, just like the Golden State Warriors, is a well-oiled machine in this preseason. They're not doing a whole lot of losing. They look like they're on a string. They've been resting players and still been playing great as a team because they're getting a lot from their other guys. That's what really hurt us when we saw the Suns, was just not having the quality bench rotation that they ultimately were able to throw out there. Their others just beat our others, and that was pretty much it. But we definitely played great with our starters against them. Anthony Davis and Bron looked great. Austin Reeves got to the line 10 times. So, these are the type of things that we hope to duplicate tonight. We do expect that there will be some guys on the injury report. Obviously, as I said, a lot of their main guys of the Phoenix are not certain to play. Of course, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, game time decisions. Grayson Allen, game time decision. I'd imagine that their center is out. Jusuf Nurkic, he's been out the entire preseason. I don't think they'll play him tonight in the finale for them. So we'll be seeing a lot of those other guys. We'll be seeing a lot of Bol, a lot of Ryan Dunn, a lot of Iguodala, a lot of Monte Morris. Monte Morris had a very good game for them. He's been a guy who made a name for himself, I believe, in Denver like 3 years ago, and has kind of moved around from Detroit to Minnesota and can't stay healthy. But he's healthy right now, and when he is healthy, he's a pretty serviceable point guard for them. So I'd imagine that he's ready to make a name for himself once again in a winning type situation. The role is clear: be a backup point guard for the team. They do have a lot of guards, but as long as he's healthy, I think he'll be in rotation for them. So we got to keep an eye open for him tonight. He really did shine against the Denver Nuggets. Bol as well. He hit like 4 threes on top of Ryan Dunn's three-point shots. Their starters really hit the three ball very well. They shot 44% against the Denver Nuggets from behind the arc. So that's something that we're going to have to just keep an eye on. If those same guys are running out there, which is not a certainty, we can expect for them to continue to try to shoot a lot of threes off of the confident game they had in the last one. So, that's really what it is with the Phoenix Suns, man. They got a lot of talent over there, man. Colin Gillespie is also someone who shot very well off the bench for them. Ty Washington as well. Guys that you don't necessarily think play very well, but are probably starting around in the form ready to contribute to a basketball club. Phoenix got those guys, and they're ready for their shot. So I would expect to see them tonight. Of course, you don't want to forget about Tyus Jones. He's also a game-time decision, but a very important piece that they picked up from Washington. One of the better players at not turning the ball over but making assists happen. So very serviceable, very reliable point guard that I think is going to make a massive impact with the Phoenix Suns this season. So this is a good team, man. Phoenix has done a very good job around the margins getting players that can help their big three. Guys that can play some defense, guys that are pushing around people. Josh Okogie is somebody who's also on the injury report tonight. Not certain or clear if he'll give this game a go, but he'd also played pretty well against us in the preseason game too. So, this is a team that I said before that game that this is a physical basketball team on paper, and I'd imagine it's going to translate to being physical on the basketball floor. And I think the same should be expected tonight, physical play. They do have guys that have a lot of length. Guys like Royce O'Neal also played about 18 minutes in the last game. He's somebody that you're going to have to keep an eye on defensively as well as from behind the arc offensively. Definitely somebody whose eyes perk up when he sees the Los Angeles Lakers. So Phoenix is a deep team. They're a deep team. I don't know how they've done it. Given what all they have going on with their starters and how much they're paying those guys. But they have found good stuff in the draft, found some free agents to come play with them for a good serviceable amount or team-friendly amount, and they just have a really good squad right now, full of guys that complement those shooters that they have in their star positions. So, at this point, it's hard to determine what exactly will be the game plan against them. If Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal play, then obviously you focus on trying to do something about that. But if they don't, then what they put on the floor in the last game against Denver is still enough to give you some trouble, especially if you're going to sit your starters down. Now, I was listening to Laker Nation this morning, and Trevor Lane was saying this is likely going to be one of the more important games of the preseason because since it's a back-to-back tomorrow, we would probably expect to just run all of our bench unit tomorrow in our finale in Golden State. That makes sense, but they may opt to do the opposite, which is totally possible. So we don't really know what to expect necessarily on our end. But, Anthony Davis has been playing some of the best ball we've seen him play. I know when does he not, right? Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the world. But he's really in a sharp space right now. He had a fantastic game in the last one against Golden State. In fact, the only player that really played very well for us was him. So, we would expect that if he plays tonight, he's going to continue his onslaught against the Phoenix Suns, just like he did in the second game of the preseason against them. He really took off on them pretty good. So I just love where Anthony Davis is at. I don't know what the right way to play it is in regards to this back-to-back, but it sure was fun watching him run out there in the last game. As far as everybody else, like I said to you guys, I thought Rui Hachimura played a pretty good game. He rebounded the ball, had like 9 boards in that last one. I thought he looked pretty good. Not really shooting the ball from behind the arc, 1 for 5, but he still overall looked pretty good. Everybody else, and I mean everybody else, struggled to their own degree. We did get something in the end out of our rookie Dalton Connect. He ended up kind of upping his shooting percentages a bit better than he had been throughout the course of the first 3 quarters. It was looking ugly for him, but in the end he got his threes up and they fell for him. So it kind of gave him a respectable line, but the game wasn't great there. And it was some O for gophers, as we like to coin the phrase for guys who don't score O for. They go for what is nothing. It was like 4 guys like that on our team. Couple guys who didn't score very much but did shoot a lot. And D'Angelo Russell wasn't really hitting shots, that kind of thing. It was Max Christie, I believe it was. Our point guards, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Who else shot poorly? Max Christie, if I didn't already mention him, he did not have a good shooting game. It was Gabe Vincent also was an 0 for gopher, and I believe there was one more person that just could not get a shot to fall. So that was really ugly for us. Very ugly offensive game for the Lakers, shooting the ball. We did keep our turnovers down, which we really love. Only 12 turnovers against the Golden State Warriors, but it didn't really translate because we couldn't get anything going. Scoring the ball, and we didn't particularly stop them at all. They scored as much as they wanted to. So that was a really ugly game. We complained a lot about not seeing Quincy Olivari, which is something that I think that the Lakers are dropping the ball on. When you get a player playing this well and you have this much on your team that's not expected to be so great, you definitely seize the moment and going to the hot hand to see if it can be something that's true or not. And I just think the Lakers are completely botching this for reasons that I don't understand. And to be honest with you, I want to see him play these next 2 games a lot, especially since we have guys to rest going into the regular season. It would make all the sense in the world for us to give a guy like Quincy Olivari a lot of minutes over the next 2 days. But I would not be surprised if we don't see him at all. And I think it's one of those situations where I think 9 out of 10 times you look back on it and you say it was an organizational mistake to do it this way. I really do. When a guy plays as well as he did in the game that we saw him in against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, roaring the charge to get us back ultimately in the game, and then from there the victory. To not have seen him in the last game was absolutely egregious. If I'm being completely honest with you, Laker Nation, it was absolutely egregious. And I'm not pleased with that decision at all. And I want them to rectify it by giving him his minutes over the next 2 games. And I also want them to clearly see, if he plays well in these next 2 games, that he's not the guy to cut. You know what I mean? Like, if we're a basketball team and we're interested in keeping the best basketball talent for ourselves, and we're already having trouble with that on our bench, the last thing you do is cut a guy who's playing great to keep guys that are not. So I just want our team to be serious. You know, Boogie Cousins got on television and said he didn't think our team was serious about winning. And this is the type of thing that backs him up when you don't take this type of situation seriously and give a guy like Quincy Olivari the minutes that he's earned. I get it. You have a preconceived notion about what you want to do as a coach and as a team. You have players that you want to play, that you've paid. All of that is okay. It really is. But when something great falls out of the sky and lands on your head, you don't reject it, especially when you're not, overwhelming the world with talent on your bench. We're not. Some of these guys we know are not very good. We need valuable assets. So for whatever is keeping us from seizing the moment with this particular valuable asset, we need to rectify that before we make a grave mistake and letting somebody who could potentially turn into something leave just because we're trying to do things a certain way that doesn't involve him. You need to evolve and involve Quincy Olivari in what you're doing. And that's what I want to say to the Laker organization. Don't allow yourself to make a very clear, regrettable mistake when you have so little to work with in the trade market to begin with. You can't afford to make that mistake. Cut someone else. Keep the guy that's able to do what he does. He's in great shape. Cross-country runner. Plays both sides of the floor. You have problems with two-way talent. It's a no-brainer. This came out of nowhere. Cut somebody else. So that's what I want to say to the Laker organization. And that's pretty much my point of view, man. I think we've done a good job of making pretty solid decisions outside of that. Obviously, the Bronny James thing is a little frustrating because he's not playing well, but we understand what we have to do. He just has to develop, and we got to stop throwing him out there, asking him to force up shots. He's not thinking the game. He's just shooting. It's almost like someone told him, just chuck up some shots. Don't worry about reading and reacting. Just chuck shots. And to be honest with you, that's terrible coaching if that's what we're doing. You got to get that boy concise actions, and you have to sit down with him and watch the film that we've been watching. I've been watching online, so I know he could turn it on himself if he ain't getting it from his coaching staff. He can watch Kwame Brown break down all this stuff. He can watch what's his name, Bad Coaching. It's a great channel I like watching, break down all this stuff. He's making some clear-cut, very, very correctable mistakes with his effort in running the floor and with his reads, and they need to be pointed out. And if he continues to make these same mistakes, I'm starting to think people are tiptoeing around the kid. For the same reasons that they'll cut Quincy Olivari, they're not properly coaching this young man. And I'm going to hold people accountable for that on this channel, so they better get it right. So that's really what comes to mind, man. I want us to be a serious organization, man. A lot of stuff that's pointing around shows that we're more serious about, doing things LeBron's way and whatever people's intentions are behind that, whether for it to be successful or to fail on purpose. They're letting it run. Like, this one LeBron wants, cool, we're just going to throw it out there and let it fail. But that reflects poorly upon you, decision makers who are thinking that way. If that's what you're doing, I'm sensing that's what's going on here too, and I don't like it. Because we have to suffer as fans and lose the good talent because you guys are trying to see, you want to do things your way, fine, let it fail and it'll be your fault. Like, nah, I don't want to have to be drugged into that as a Laker fan if that's what y'all doing. And I'm sensing that's what a couple people around in the round table thinking. I don't like it. We don't want to purposefully fail to teach a guy a lesson. This is bigger than the program, and it's definitely bigger than that intention. So that's really what I have to say, man. I don't know if that's what's going on. Obviously, I'm not an insider, but I'm good at reading tea leaves, and I've been on this earth for a long time. And I can tell when people resent certain things and don't really want it to work out, so they just say, fine, you want to do it this way, do it that way. And we're going to see what comes of that, and then we get to say, see, you lost. Nah, because I'm attached to that as a fan, and so are the rest of Laker Nation. We don't want to lose to teach a guy a lesson. We don't want to lose because you know something's not going to work out if we keep doing it, but we're going to do it anyway because somebody wants it. No. We got to be grown-ups here. If something doesn't work, fix it. If we can't fix it, work around the margins. But do not walk us into failure to teach a guy a lesson, please. I'm sensing that. Don't. Abort. Keep Olivari. There's no reason for a team that has so little assets and so much commitment to bad assets, letting anybody like that go by the wayside to teach somebody else a lesson. Absolutely not. Don't let it happen, man. So, hey, if I'm wrong, forgive me, but I just am going with my instincts on this one. So that's pretty much my thought, man, heading into this basketball game. I really do want to see our team play well, but it really does suck a lot out of the enthusiasm when I sense other things going on that have anything to do with making everybody look their best. JJ Redick included, he's sucked into that. If people want to make executive decisions, he's not able to coach freely. It's not good. So I don't know if that's what's going on. Also, 9-man rotation, it doesn't look good. Why? Because the next guys up, they're not that much of a separation in talent and capability from the guys behind them. Your starting 5, solidified. Maybe your 6th and 7th man, solidified. If you're cutting it to 9, that 8th and 9th man ain't that much better, or may not be better at all than the 10th and 11th guy. So that's the problem with going short. We're not talented enough to go short. That's what that last game showed us. We're not. JJ, we're not talented enough to do this. You got to keep searching for stuff, because the reality is this team don't have a clear-cut pecking order. Over the last 2 years, our coach has been using everybody. So that's why it's like, and in some cases, it made a lot of sense to do that. Of course, he cut out the wrong people when he leaned more into what he needed to do, but ultimately, it was shots by committee, playing time by committee almost, unless you were part of his chosen 2, which were Cam Reddish and Taurean Prince, who's now in Milwaukee. So for me, I need to see if there are some guys like Jalen or, Quincy or a Max Lewis that can contribute, because I don't know if there's that much of a separation between who's available in, Jackson Hayes and whoever else we're using. So that's really what it comes down to. I think shortening your bench in this situation can expose guys not being that great, and furthermore not allowing guys who need to develop, who maybe can help you more, opportunities to do so, for which you'll probably end up leaning on them in the future anyway. So it's like, I know we're short some of our guys. 4 of our bigs, basically. Traore's on the injury report. Obviously Koloko is still out. We have yet to see him. And of course Vanderbilt and Wood are out. So that's going to take away from what I think our 9-man rotation would be anyway, because I'd imagine 1 or 2 of those guys would be a part of that. But in this situation, it ain't much of a separation between the guys you're using and the guys you're not. And some of them guys you're not may have more upside, may even be able to help you more. They may even just be better than them dudes, man. I'm just being honest with you. So that's how I feel about our roster after looking at it, what it looked like against the Golden State Warriors going 9 deep. I hated it. It looked bad because we're leaning on stuff that ain't much better than anything else. So that's how I feel. It's not that I'm mad at him, because I don't know that switches up if he just uses other people in a 9-man rotation and moves those 2 out, or whatever the case may be. You just got to use them all, and you got to figure out which ones can help you the most. And I don't think we figured that out, and I think it looked bad in the last one. So that's what comes to mind, man. If the goal is to succeed, we're gonna do away with some of these things we're married to, I believe, and start experimenting with people like Max Lewis and Quincy Olivari a bit more. Max Lewis, I'm sensing, is ready to play a much bigger part in our success than I think maybe we're ready to provide him. Driving at the rim, making plays for others. I'm sensing something with Max Lewis that I didn't sense in the summer league where I thought he struggled. He looks a lot better right now, and I think we should experiment with some minutes with him in competent lineups, which is very important as well, man. You can't throw young players out there with Bronny James and then have them play 4-on-5, because that's what ends up happening, and then assessing them as struggling when he's on the floor, not providing them spacing, not providing no, not hustling to put himself in the greatest position to get layups. Whatever lineup you put Bronny in, it's probably not the best lineup to assess others in. That's what this has taught me as well. No disrespect to young Bronny. It's 4-on-5 when he's out there on both sides of the floor, and it hurts those other hopefuls who are trying to play with him. It hurts him bad. So if he's not going to be coached up to being a more competent piece on the floor, do not assess anything next to him, because it's going to have to make up for mistakes that it wouldn't have to make up if they just put a more ready player on the basketball floor next to those people. So Jalen Hood-Schifino, Max Lewis, Colin Castleton, constantly slapping them next to Bronny James, and I don't know if they're playing well or not, because he's hurting them that bad. So that's really the reality of it, man. I hate to be the guy that says that, but somebody got to just come on now. Development is the most important thing for our franchise. I don't care what nobody says. If we're not making guys who are underdeveloped become competent basketball players, we can't get the most out of our starters, because their backups are going to suck, and they're going to have to constantly come back in these basketball games to get us back into the game that they ultimately build leads for. They're going to have to come back in and seal the games off, because we're not going to get the most out of those young guys who will not be ready if we don't use them. This is very important, JJ. I'm telling you, bro, this is going to be important. And 9-man crap is not nearly as important as making those guys who are incompetent basketball players into competent basketball players. I promise you, you focus on that, starters will be fine, and they'll be more healthy. So that's really my point of view, man. I hope the Lakers are listening to me. I believe they usually do. This is one of the most important videos I've made, because through 4 games of the preseason, we're making some very, very bad mistakes, but they're not solidified yet. We don't have to go down the path it looks like we're going down, but we do have to recognize that some of this stuff is a mistake. So that's pretty much my point of view. I hope we have a fantastic game tonight. It's going to be at 7, as I said before, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be looking for some things to change. I really am. I'm not looking for 9-man rotations with some of the same guys we use. I'm not looking for the Lakers to continue to jack up mindless 3-point shots. I like the volume, but if they're not falling, we got to get to the line. Our DNA is to get to the line. We have some of the same players we've had over the last 2 years. We play a certain way. If something that we're trying to do is going to cost us success, we got to go back to what we know. And that's just what it is. So I understand we're trying to break some old habits, but if we don't have the personnel to hit the threes and we're going to launch for gophers because guys don't really, that's not what they do, we just got to be honest about that. We are what we are, and us not getting to the line very much is not very good. We've been shooting a good percentage, but we're not getting there. And I think a lot of it has to do with us chucking up threes and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm disappointed, because it's the preseason and I'm happy we're healthy, and that's the most important thing. But there are some things that we're doing that if we continue doing them, this losing that we're doing in the preseason will carry into the regular season, and we'll be off to a slow start that we may have to try to dig ourselves out of in order to make the play-in tournament. That is not a situation we have to fall into if we start doing things a bit better now. So that's pretty much my point of view, man. This is very important. This is a very important display tonight. Or dress rehearsal, as they're calling it. It's not just a dress rehearsal. It is an opportunity to undo some really bad paths that we seem to be going down right now. So that's what I'm hopeful to see the Lakers do. Salute the Kobe minute. That's pretty much what I have to say. Looking forward to this basketball game, but a bit nervous. About how this looks right now. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.